Hello and welcome to Somerset Highlander. Today is August the 12th. It's a sunny afternoon. It was a little bit cloudy this morning, quite humid. I haven't been posting too much lately, partly because the weather's been shocking. Anyone who lives in the UK will know that we had a really wet July, so there wasn't that much interesting to be able to go out and film. And then before you know it, life gets away from you. So now I'm back on it, and I'm just going to show you a few bits and pieces. So I'm going to start with the pond actually. As I say, it's just been a very weird year for weather. We've had ups and downs, and some plants have done very well, some plants have struggled. You'll see obviously in the pond at the minute we have a couple of lovely lily flowers. We've got a lot of the larger lily pads. We've got about 14 or 15 lily pads, and they've done really well this year. So you can see them starting to really develop and move out. We've probably had about 6 or 7 flowers from this, and as you can see, they're really starting to get enjoyable within the pond. We also have another flower coming here, and you can see how crystal clear it is. And we've got another flower underneath that's about to come through, and then another 2 further on. But the reason why the water's so clear is probably because of these little critters here, snails. We have an abundance of snails, so it's good and it's bad. The good news is they eat a lot of the debris, a lot of the duckweed, a lot of the algae, and that's really healthy to give it a nice clear look. The bad news is they also then eat all the lily pads, all the lilies, all the other plants. So it's trying to get that balance, and the reason we haven't got the balance at the minute is just because we haven't got predators for them, i.e. frogs or toads, and that's really what we need here. So in terms of other successes, the ivy's really started to take hold now. This looks lovely with these colours, and it's starting to climb up the wall now towards the top of the fence. It's done really well, and the hawthorns continue to grow, and it's doing well, but it's starting to emerge now with the trees in the next door neighbour's garden, so we're going to have to do something about trying to control that. But they've done quite well. But the issue we've got as well here is the lack of rain in August. This was a swamp in July, but now it's just dirt dry. We did have a lovely foxglove in here. That's obviously gone over to seed now, so we've obviously spread the seeds out. Hopefully they'll come back in a couple of years' time. They're biennial plants. But yeah, it's doing okay. We've had a few successes here, and then we come to our hosta, which, as you'll see, has been ravaged by slugs probably, or other insects. And the flowers were nice when they lasted, but the actual leaves have been absolutely decimated. And this is a problem throughout our garden this year. Again, lack of predators. So apparently one of the other big issues is the lack of wasps. I'm not a fan of wasps, but they do help keep the insect population that eat these types of plants in check. And because they've had such a poor year, they have only just started to appear really. A lot of the damage has been done in a lot of our plants in the garden. Now normally I don't mind, but this is quite excessive, so hopefully next year there'll be a few more wasps, there'll be a few, maybe a toad or a frog can start to eat some of the nasties, and that'll even itself out. So the other thing we're starting to change is the archways. We've always been trying to grow honeysuckle up the archways, and they are growing, but quite slowly, but they don't have a wow factor at the moment. So what we did notice is that we have a rambling rose that is going absolutely everywhere. So we actually took the decision to start pulling this across, and the idea will be that this rambling rose now will start to cover and give a sort of corridor for all 3 archways, and then hopefully the honeysuckle will intersperse in between it and be able to do its thing. So one of the other challenges this year has been cosmos. We always plant it once other plants have gone over in the pots, and we're a little bit later this year in planting it. Not much more, maybe a couple of weeks, but that's down to the weather. But really they're only now on the 12th of August starting to come out, and really would have expected about 4 or 5 weeks worth of flowering already. Everything's just a bit later with the Cosmos. It hasn't been as spectacular. So again, here's the Cosmos here. We've got a couple of flowers coming out so far, and yeah, again, it's just the weather. It's just caused the problems, but hopefully we'll get some late flowering and it'll be able to give us some wow factor. One area that's loved the rain is by the pond, where we have some irises, but more importantly as well we have fennel and these tall grasses and a bit of verbena, and these are probably, I'd say, about 6.5 feet tall, and they seem to really love it. And actually we do like it here. It's a lovely colour, it's got a lovely sort of rustle in the wind, and it does give structure. So we will cut it down towards winter time, and you know, if anyone who wants to, you can cut the fennel. Yes, you can use the seeds, but you can also use the stalks and cut them up and cook them, and you can use that for your meals with fish. So it's a really nice way to harvest from your own garden. So in my earlier video I was talking about how the rosemary had suffered. This is the existing rosemary, and actually it is still going well, as is the Hebe behind it. It's just a thug, actually, to be honest. I have to keep trimming it back. But we actually took the decision to plant a new rosemary here, and part of the reason for that is obviously the old one had just died off. It just went within a couple of weeks, it just died off. So we've planted a new one. We're hoping that that'll thrive there, but we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. And behind we've got this wallflower. Now you can start to see, although there's still some flowers there, there's quite a lot of wood now. We haven't dug it out because we can't get any wallflowers at the moment. So I think what we'll do is we'll dig it out at the end of this year, and then we'll find some new ones in springtime to plant. They tend to last about 2 or 3 years. You'll also see that we had a slight difference to the bench. We've actually put a little fence behind it just to hold the lavender back. That's just to stop the bees really from buzzing around our back, but so we're not getting all scratchy when we're leaning against it. But actually it looks nice, it's tidy, still relatively natural, other than obviously there's a fence there. But I suspect next year the lavender will start to grow through. Here was a success, but a lot of the flower heads have now gone over to seed and have seeded, which is fine. But what we have done, obviously, we did actually update a little bit on the hot garden, that we call it. So the Crocosmia, which I would have shown you in the previous video, was superb, but they're obviously going to seed now. But we still have quite a lot going on here. I also like the clematis. These are beautiful sort of seed heads that happen once they've gone over. Their normal flower looks like this, which is lovely, but we've got a mixture of them now. And further down, obviously we've got some more smaller Crocosmia. We did have a nice fuchsia. Now, as you can see, it's had a bit of a haircut, well, more than a haircut, and we've spotted yesterday, it was an elephant hawk moth caterpillar, was quite happily chewing on all the leaves and flowers, and within half an hour it decimated the whole plant. Now these hawk moths caterpillars are massive. They're probably about, I'd say, 2 inches long. So they are not subtle, they're not small, but they are beautiful when they're fully developed and they're on the wing. But I was quite happy about it. My wife wasn't quite so happy, but you know, it's what it is. You have to make sacrifices for wildlife to have a place. But it's sort of wandered on now, and I suspect it's gone through to next door to munch on my neighbour's fuchsia, so they're in for a shock. But yeah, the rest of the hot garden at this time of year is actually working. This new plant in the back we've put in where we've never had anything really growing successfully, and it seems to be stabilising that area. And then we've got our Rudbeckia in full bloom, some more wallflowers yellow, and our Campsis, that has done really well actually this year. It's starting to establish itself, and it's just lovely to have these trumpet flowers. We haven't had these before really, so it's just a nice progress. And then obviously we have some more flowers in the corner that are doing okay with a bit more Crocosmia.